was in your gym in New York.
That's right. And in fact, it was you that taught me to hate to the very core super slow training. But then I said to myself, if freaking Phil Williams could build that back doing this shit, I got to give it a shot.
Still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
Not very heavy, mind you, but I don't worry about the weight anymore so much. Just the slow velocity and the intensity.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, the super slow is just brutal. I still train relatively slow, especially now. The joints.
Sure.
You're gonna go lighter weights. You got to go slow. You got to
Oh,
feel
yeah.
it, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Good to see you. You look great, man.
You do too, man. It's
Thank
been a
you,
while.
brother.
Where
Appreciate
are
it. I'm gonna get rid
you?
of the glasses. It's aging me.
Where are you now?
What's that?
You're no longer in New York. Where are you?
No, I'm in Colorado. I've been out here 27 years now, or something like that.
All right. What
28.
city?
Close to Denver. I'm in Westminster.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's about 20 minutes from Boulder, 20 minutes to Denver. Although that time is increasing with the number of traffic. The amount of traffic we're starting to get out here is crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. That's everywhere, I think.
I
It's
know,
universal.
everywhere, right?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I believe
Where-
so.
Are you out in California?
Yeah, I was in LA up until last July, and then we sold the house there and moved to Ventura, which is a nice seaside coastal city,
Oh yeah.
about 108,000, which is really nice. But it's it's slow. It's slow. I live in a retirement village, in a sense.
That's funny. I talked to my brother's living down in Tampa now, my twin brother, and we could reminisce between the time, when you were in your 20s, everybody was getting married, and then in your 30s, everybody was having kids. In their 40s, everybody was getting divorced. He's now down in Florida. He says everybody's dying. It's
Hey,
now
Tom,
that time.
that's why my 10-year high school reunion, I didn't go to it. I waited till the 20 because I figured by that time everybody's divorced.
You got a
Probably
shot
so.
at that hot chick you never had a shot
Right,
at.
right. The 10-year, everybody's still happy and married, but I'll wait till 20 years.
The girls are outliving the men, so you definitely got a shot, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks
All
for
right.
having us on, buddy.
Yeah, so I don't know. You guys got my email today. I think what we're going to do is one of my people suggested this. We're going to do like all the mandatory poses, and we're going to pick who looks the best in each mandatory pose. So we'll just stick with the 70s and 80s, because that's
Please
the,
tell me you're not talking about us doing the mandatory pose.
well, you guys were 80s, so yeah, we can include you.
Because if that's the case, I'm inviting my wife in because she will look the best. Phil, I think she's going to have you by at least 1 point this time.
So I thought, like front double bicep, I was thinking like Arnold, Robbie, Sergio, but you guys can throw in who you want, and then we'll all like choose our own choice,
Oh man, you're going way back to the 70s.
Yeah, we
get my
won't
head
go
on the
90s.
80s.
We won't go 90s. We'll just go 70s.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
80s.
We're in the 70s first, right? We're gonna
Yeah,
start.
I mean,
with
we could combine them. We could do them both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, some of them spill over from the 70s to the 80s. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay.
That sounds like fun, man.
Yeah, I got a list here, but you guys throw in who you want, and we'll just have fun with it.
Jerry, how are you? I don't want to not say hello to Jerry.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good, buddy. Good. Hey, I just recently got over a whole bunch of treatment.
Is that right?
Really?
I've had at least 3 Mohs surgeries on my face.
No
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's
Yeah, big ones. I had a big one here. It was huge, and you can't even hardly see it. It's barely
Yeah.
anything now.
I was just going to
Yep.
say they did a great job, man. I can't even see it.
No, I can't either.
You know,
I asked her to take a little off the nose, but she was like, "Well, let's wait for the next time."
that's extra.
hey guys, I'll tell you something funny. I haven't told too many people this. I had endocarditis, right? I had extensive
wife
dental
did
work,
it.
and last time I talked to Jerry, I was in the hospital. I had open heart surgery.
Wow,
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
Recently.
that'll set you back a little.
Phil,
Hey.
how you feeling how you feeling now, Phil? I mean, are you recovered from that stuff?
100%, Jerry. I feel like it never happened, to be honest with you.
Great.
But I mean, I'm just got back into training. I had my 3rd cycle with each body part. So I mean, my strength is coming back, my endurance is coming back. I mean, I feel good.
Yeah.
So this
But,
was really recently, huh, Phil?
I had the surgery December 21st.
Wow. So yeah, within the last few months or so, man.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
been about
keep
3
up.
months.
Glad you're all
plus.
right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
look like
Feel
you
good.
gained a little weight since the last time we talked. Let me-
Oh, yeah, I've gained like 20 pounds, believe it
Yeah,
or
you
not.
look like it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I have a theory about that. I've noticed over the years, guys who've been involved in lifelong training for many years, if they have to undergo any medical procedures, they seem to heal much better and more effectively than the average person. And I think it's because of all those years of taking the nutrients and protein, your
Mhm.
body always in a semi-healing state. So
Yeah.
when you encounter a stress like surgery, the tissues are kind of set up to heal a little bit. I've noticed this. I mean, I've
True.
seen guys that have major knee surgery that they're like going in the gym and squatting 6 weeks later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can normally can never do that if you're an average person.
Right.
Oh,
right.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're
I
all right,
healed
Phil.
quick, pretty quick. I was surprised myself.
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's get started, guys. I don't want to keep you forever.
John, you
Wait a
left-
minute. Since when? I once said, Phil, I just want you to know, I once did a podcast with John. He and I did about an hour and 20 minutes. Then Sean Ray jumped on for another hour.
Oh.
That was another hour and a half.
I had to pee so bad. I was ready to explode. I'm like, he didn't know it. I was going under my desk. I'm like, I gotta go.
Hey, Tom, you know, you mentioned Sean Ray. I told this to Sean Ray recently. You know, when I worked for Weeder for years, I interviewed Sean when he competed, and he was so loquacious. He talked so much. I said to him, you know, I could leave a tape recorder in the room, go down in the dining room, you know, have lunch, come back, and you're still talking.
That sounds like Sean for sure.
Yeah.
He laughed when he admitted it was true. You know,
I know.
That's funny.
They got these in my gym. They got 2 TVs in the back. So I work out with one of the owners. So I said, well, how about if we get some old videos or DVDs and we'll put them in the bodybuilding shows, you know? So we had the Olympia in there once. So I had the battle for the Olympia. I think it was 86.
Yeah.
80 or 96. I'm sorry, 96. It was the first one that Mitsuru did. And at the end of it, Sean Ray is like talking about how unfair the judging is for like at least 15 minutes. So we can't hear it. You know, you can just see the picture. But I'm working out today. I look up, he's still talking. 10
Well,
minutes later, he's still talking.
You know, if you saw him on screen, he was bitching and moaning about something.
Right. Yeah. He's like, unfair. Use the same judges. They don't put me in first.
oh yeah.
Oh man.
You know, I was going to mention, you know, you just reeled off a couple of names for biceps.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I think of great biceps, the very first guy that comes to mind is Larry Scott.
Yeah.
Mm.
A lot of the younger bodybuilders don't even know who this guy is.
I know.
But he was, you know, for anyone listening who doesn't know, he was the first Mr. Olympia. He won it in 65 and 66.
Right.
And this guy had an absolutely phenomenal biceps. I mean, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to throw him in there too. You know, he
Yeah.
had-
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
that-
That's what,
his biceps literally won him the Olympia. I mean, because
Yeah.
the rest of them, he had great shoulders and great biceps, but the rest of them was kind of mediocre, narrow shoulders, you know, just passable thighs, good calves, no back at all, no back width, but biceps, incredible. Great,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
biceps.
that's why we got you here, Jerry, so you can remind us of that.
Jerry, let me ask you real quick. He beat Harold Poole, right?
He beat Harold Poole, and I tell you, I was this, and I said this to John when we talked about it. The second Olympia, I wasn't at the first one in 65. I was there in 66. The second was also at the Brooklyn Academy. And I always tell the story. Scott got a 20-minute standing ovation. I'd never seen that before. They were going crazy. But, and you know, you could say I'm not objective because Harold Poole at the time was a personal friend of mine. We trained in the gym together. Great, great guy, right?
Great guy.
I would have given it to Harold Poole that night, and I'll tell you why. He had the over, you see, in the pictures it's hard to tell, but when you see him in person, I was actually backstage and I saw them standing right next to each other. Harold was the more finished physique, and he had more body parts. He had, you know, back, he had chest, he had more, you know, Scott had him on the arms, but Harold had everything together. I thought Harold should have won. Honestly, I really do.
Yeah.
Jerry, did you hear my interview with John DeCola that I did?
I did. I
Yeah.
heard. I loved it because Nicole is one of the few guys over the years that I'd never met the guy, but I actually saw him compete when I was a young kid. I saw him compete in New York. I can't remember. It might have been the junior. I don't remember which show it was, but I remember looking at the guy and thinking, "Wow, this guy's really." I was very impressed by his physique. And then when I see him on the show, I mean, you had told me in advance that what is he, 80 something years old?
Yeah, 82.
And And the guy still looks great.
Yeah, still works out. He still had arms. He hit an arm shot
He
for
still
me.
has arms. I mean, we all age. It's no, you can't stop that. We all
Oh, yeah.
age. But to hold muscle like that at 82
Yeah.
is, to me, is amazing. I mean, that's a real accomplishment. Seriously, I'm impressed.
I don't know if you caught it during the interview. He was mentioning that he went to all those Brooklyn Academy of Music contests.
Yeah,
And he said in '66 he heard that Bud Parker, the promoter,
that's right.
said, he goes, we got to have, I think the judges wanted Harold Poole to win, like you said, but he said, no, we got to have Larry Scott win because I got a whole bunch of guest posings for him set up after the contest. So he's got to win. He goes, Harold Poole will win next year.
Right.
Oh,
So the judges
man.
that.
I believe that story. I believe that story's true because I'm telling you, Harold, I was there. If I wasn't there, I couldn't say this, but I was there. And
Yeah.
Harold had and not that Larry wasn't good. Larry had this aura about him. I mean, I think I told you this story when they announced his name, it took like 12 minutes before he walked out on stage, and the audience was going absolutely berserk. And he walks out, and they had this overhead light on him, like a spotlight, and it got on his hair. His hair was platinum, not blonde, platinum. And he's walking across the stage, and they're like taking slow steps, and they're going crazy. So he had this kind of aura about him. And like Harold was great, but he didn't match that kind of, California aura that
Right.
and that really influenced. I mean, if you went by the audience, I'd have to say Larry Scott would win.
Yeah.
I mean, hands down. But if you go strictly by bodybuilding judging standards, Harold was the winner. I really believe
Mhm.
that.
Always heard that.
Yeah, it's true. It really is true. I feel bad for Harold because he got such a raw deal when he was in the AAU. Phil, do you remember that? When he competed, I mean, some of the guys that beat him are just ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put anyone down, but I mean, like Vern Weaver, who won it in, I think it was 65, maybe. No, I don't remember. No, 63. 63, Vern Weaver. This guy looked like a power lifter, bodybuilder combined. I mean, he had thick waist, tremendous shoulders, but really kind of not much definition, very boxy looking legs. Harold Poole went against him. Harold Poole was shredded that year, shredded. And that was it for Harold Poole. When he lost to Vern Weaver, he went back and just threw his trophy against the wall. And apparently Weeder had contacted him. He went right into Weeder and won. I think he won the Mr. Universe or Mr. America. I can't remember.
Now, Jerry, he won the Mr. Universe before he won the Mr. America, that's the
Yeah.
only time that's ever happened. And he won it as a teenager. Am I
That's
correct?
That's very true. Harold, a lot of people don't know this, but Harold was, when he lived in Indiana, I think it was 1959, he was voted one of the top high school athletes in the country. People don't know that about Harold. Harold was a tremendous athlete, he's a track athlete. A lot of people don't know that about Harold,
All right.
I was a big fan for sure. I saw him compete here in New York. I can't remember what show it was, but I was a teenager just getting into the sport,
Right.
being inspired by all these guys. I can remember walking into one of those, I think it was one of the shows at the Brooklyn Academy. And I remember as a kid, my mom was dismayed. She's like, what the heck is he interested in? What is he doing? But I remember walking in and it was like, there was a guy standing outside with forearms. I think it was Franco Colombo. I mean, it was just like this little guy that had forearms that was as big as he was. And it was just like, I was in awe. I was so inspired by those competitions. And I'm sure I remember Harold Poole being in that competition. I can't remember which one it was.
Right.
Man, it was early on and was such an inspiration. Great guy,
Very-
great physique, big guy though. He
Yes.
was big, wasn't he? Larry Scott was only what, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", maybe.
About
Right.
5'7.5", yeah.
Yeah,
Harold was either 5'11", 6 foot tall. He was much taller. Yeah.
much bigger.
But the thing is, there was a guy in that era, John, speaking about body parts. I met this guy at the same gym where I met Harold, which is called Mid-City Health Club in New York.
Oh my God, I trained at that place.
Tom,
Brutal.
right. And I joined that gym in '64. I was 14 years old. And one of the first guys I saw, this is the guy I'm going to mention here, since we're talking about biceps. You guys might remember, a guy named Freddie Ortez.
Oh yeah.
Buddy. Oh, sure.
He was a short guy too. He was about 5'5" at the most, maybe 5'4". But I remember going in the men's room there, and Ortez was there in a t-shirt, and he just right in front of me, he flexed it. He did a double arm bicep in the mirror, and I I literally froze because I never seen he had John. He had a biceps on top of a biceps.
He did.
Biggest arms I've ever seen. And you know the thing is, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It told me himself in 1969. I guess Freddie went over to the NABA Universe one year.
Yep.
He competed in the short class, and Arnold, I think, probably won one of the universes that year. And I remember him telling me right after that, he said to me, you know, Jerry, you know this guy, Freddie Ortiz? I said, yeah, I used to see him all the time in New York. He says, this guy has the best arms I've ever seen. In fact, he says, and this is what threw me, his arms are better than mine. I never heard Arnold say that about anyone else. I still remember it to this day. I never heard anyone say that.
Well,
That's
you guys remember the old pictures of Freddie Ortiz and Larry Scott together
That's right.
Yeah.
They were-
wearing arm shots.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I want to mention that.
Right. Now
Yeah.
they have, now these
And you know
guys,
what was interesting about those pictures of Freddie and Larry Scott together is that both had incredible arms, but Larry had that classic football shape
right,
bicep,
exactly.
long, thick football,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
Freddie had this, like you said, a bicep on top. It was peaked out. They were
That's exactly
completely, and it was
right.
the first time as a kid for me. It was like, wow, this isn't just about muscle. This is about there's different structures
Yeah.
in the body. Not everybody will have a Larry Scott bicep. Not
Right.
everybody's going to have an Ortiz bicep.
Right.
It's somewhere in between for every individual. You know, it was pretty cool. I was like,
Yeah, that's-
wow.
That's the thing I remember about that picture, Tom, is the fact that you had, you know, two guys with great arms, but completely different type of bicep. Like you said,
Mhm.
Larry had this bicep that went all the way into his elbow. You know, like you said, it looked like a little miniature football almost.
Yes.
But Freddie had this unbelievable peak. It looked like a peak on top of a peak, like I
That was
say.
crazy.
They both had great arms, just completely different, due again to the genetics, as you correctly point out, you know.
I just got an email from somebody that watches or listens to my show, and they said that I should try to interview Freddie. And they said he's the head of security at a hotel in New York, and he's
Wow.
80 years old.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
80?
80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a photo of him about a year ago training in a gym. He was doing preacher curls, right? Freddie Ortiz. And the thing that threw me is that when I knew him, he had this big head of hair, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, you had those 60 haircuts, you know, the guys used to have. And in the photo, he's completely bald. And at first I didn't recognize. I said, that's not Freddie Ortiz. When I took a closer look, but you know, I got to give the guy credit because this is like a year ago. I guess he was what, 79, 80 years old. He also still looked good.
Yeah.
He still had arms. The guy was still, I could see, he still had the biceps at 80 years old,
Unbelievable.
you know? And he has a son who competes, Freddie Ortiz Jr.
Really?
Just like Sergio has Sergio Oliva Jr.
Yeah.
Freddie's son is a bodybuilder, Freddie Ortiz Jr. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any of the genetics of his father.
Really?
The poor kid thought he had a leg up. He's like, I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna clean this thing up.
Right.
No.
It happened.
All right, guys, let's get started.
Let's get started. I thought we were rolling already. I didn't know what that's our best stuff. We've already given our best stuff out.
Tom, if you got to go to the bathroom, go right ahead, man.
You know what you're in for now, Phil.
All right.